everyone, welcome back to QSR Nation, your weekly source of food service marketing and business strategies for success. Here are your hosts, Josh, Beth, Tony, and Grant from the PFS Brands National Headquarters in Holt Summit, Missouri.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of QSR Nation. As always, we have Josh, Beth, Tony, and Grant coming today from the PFS Brands National Headquarters in Holt Summit, Missouri to talk about food service marketing and business strategies for success. Today is the last podcast of 2019. How quickly did it go?
Woo! Very quick.
Yeah. What do you think? You guys don't really help my pre-discussion banter here.
No. We're just going to stare at you oddly.
Yeah, we're actually really excited today because we have Carrie Luxem in our studio once again to wrap up 2019 with the bang. So welcome, Carrie.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
So obviously 2020 is right around the corner. Everybody's looking at the trends going into 2020. We all know hiring is a big trend. So how do you think we can help our retailers going into 2020 or any retailer out there kind of combat that hiring issues that they might have?
Wow. Well, I think that, hiring is always an issue. I think doesn't really depend on the time of the year. People just have staffing issues. And I think, as people move into the new year, they've got to really think about where they are as a company, what they pay people, who is it they're really looking for? Are they looking for college age, high school age, seasonal people type thing? Or do they need full-time, long-term people that are going to have a path with them? And then you've got to figure out different ways to recruit them and hire them. And what I'll say is I've supported restaurants throughout the country. It's just different depending on where you are. And even I live in the Chicagoland area, how you recruit talent for a retail or a restaurant is different in the city of Chicago than it is in the suburbs of Chicago. So you really have to know your market. You have to try different things. I think a lot of times people have been recruiting the same way for a long time, whether that's Craigslist, that sounds old school now, but some people still use it, or Snag a Job or Indeed or whatever. And they do that. They maybe had some success in their strategies throughout their career, and then they stop doing anything else. They don't try anything else, and then they get frustrated because that no longer works. I mean, there are there's hundreds and hundreds, thousands probably of different apps and things that people can use to find talent, online job boards and things like that. So that's one way. But I'll tell you that if you're really a great company, if you're a great place to work, you really can lean on your current staff. They have friends, you can head over to the schools, you really tap into your community, you're talking to your customers, who are your, friends and kids and whatever. We're always looking for great talent. This is a great place to work, and here's why. If you're really skilled at that, then it just becomes easier. There's not really a lot of recreating the wheel here. There's different strategies that people can use. The people, though, that get ahead of it, that are always talking about staffing and having a great team and really thinking ahead, and they're great planners, they have less staffing issues. But truth be told, there are pockets throughout the country that are areas that are just brutally hard to hire people. I live in a community where I don't think there's one retail or restaurant that doesn't have a now hiring sign in their window.
Yeah, I know.
You should always be looking too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs people, and there definitely are some challenges. So when you're in a market like that, when you don't have the amount of people, you have to figure out what people want that you're trying to hire. And then you've got to, whether it's a little bit higher wage or, and sometimes that's hard, but maybe they have more flexibility if they come and work in your place, or maybe you can give them a reference at school. They're getting school credit of some sort or something. There's just so many different things you can do. You're going to hire their friends. You get, we have fun and bring donuts on Friday, whatever those things are. And you just got to put a little effort into it.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. There's even some places that are now offering college tuition to their employees, which is really, really cool. But it's almost like they're, basically admitting that or acknowledging that, well, we may not have them for the long term, but at least we'll have them for maybe 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And the quality of those employees are probably going to be higher because they're obviously motivated to grow professionally.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
But that's what one of my daughters is doing right now. She went to work for Walmart. She makes a really good wage. I think she makes about $30,000 a year. She's going to be 20 in a couple of weeks here, or I guess next week. Yeah. And Saturday. she's doing really well. But one of the things is she's decided to stay there is, they're helping pay for her college right now. She's doing her online classes through Purdue. And, getting that to where she's able to work full time, still pursue her degree, and then, looking at walking away without having a bunch of student loan debt, which is a huge issue. Luckily, I don't know anything about that. Beth is our resident expert. She's our resident expert on student loan debt. But, that's one of the things that, made her decision to stay there versus when she had an opportunity to go to somewhere else. And she's like, I like the company. I like the culture. They've adopted a lot of new approaches to their teams and how they're handling their hiring needs. But the big thing for her was the college. And so now she's gone from thinking, do I want to do this, to regardless if I want to do this, I'm going to do this. And there's that intrinsic motivation that, hey, this is paying for my college and this is money. She's looking at that tuition fee as part of her salary and saying, I'm making more than my father, which why she's not supporting me, I don't know, but hopefully she will someday.
Yeah, for sure. But for our small retailers out there, that seems like a huge, huge burden to even possibly think of. What's some small actionable advice they can start to implement, though?
Because they can't afford to do those kind of things. And so this is what's key. It's like, obviously it's a challenge to find people, but you've got to figure out what people. That's what her currency is. She cares about her education or whatever. If you're in a market and you're struggling to find people, you've got to figure out first and foremost, who can you might have to be flexible. Maybe you don't want to hire a bunch of high school students if you don't have a lot of choices. You've got to hire them at nights and on weekends. But what matters to them? And you've got to really play on that, and you've got to give them those things. And and truthfully, a lot of operators are like, I can't afford $15 an hour, right? But if they find somebody that's a rock star $15 an hour person, oftentimes it's better than two $8 an hour people. So you really make that investment. I will tell you, and everybody's wants and needs are different. One of the things that I do in my own company, when somebody starts with us, we have a little form that we have them fill out. We have them force rank. What is most important to you? Money, benefits, training, title, and it's a hard activity because all of those things, for the most part, for the positions that we're hiring, are important to people, but it helps them, it makes them think. And I think that, when I talk to people in all different levels, people may not say, I want to make a lot of money, but everybody wants to make more money, I believe. People need money. Right. The more you have, the easier life can get, So I think that the more, if you can figure out a way to pay people, I used to not pay what I needed to pay, and somebody gave me advice, find talent, pay them well, and see what happens. And it's been crazy amazing for me. Now I get it. I'm not a retailer. I'm not a restaurant. It's hard to manage that labor budget. But I think that you've got to really focus on bringing in the right people, and maybe you do pay a premium, but if you train them right, if you really know who they are, if you're really dedicated to setting them up for success, you're going to have less turnover. Turnover is expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I like to say, if you focus your energy on culture and caring about your people, you're going to spend less focus and energy and money on recruiting and hiring. So most people spend a lot of their time and energy on recruiting and hiring, and then just forget about the people that they have in their stores, taking care of them, incentivizing them to bring their friends in, or whatever it may be. Yeah. So it's just really kind of shifting, the way things are. Get it? I mean, my husband is an operator. He's got donut shops in very, very, very hard to hire areas. We do have to pay more. We do have to figure it out. And, as the world changes and minimum wages go up, I think we're going to see prices are raised and things like that, so people can figure it out. But you just have to figure out a way. You have to figure out who it is you're looking for. How can you pay them what you can afford? Obviously, you can't go out of business. You can't pay.
Right. That doesn't do anyone any good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and so I think that but I do think that the answer is not always pay less. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's find the right person that is going to bring you in, like the workload of two people. And by the way, what is it they want? Do they want a fast path to management? Do you have that available for them? Is this just they're trying to start their own business, but they need a little extra cash? And does that work for them? Really understanding that, and not just blanket hiring and, assuming that everybody wants the same exact thing, I think is the key.
Yeah.
Well, and then also I think with continuous training, once you get those folks hired, one trend that I've seen, some of my friends that own businesses, they've done this, and they get some folks hired. Oh, Mary's great, Joey's awesome, so they dump the workload on them,
Overwork,
and then they overwork them, and they don't ever really go back and reassess the workload because the work's got to get done, and I think there's opportunities, as an owner or even manager, to make sure you're taking those times to purposely step back and continually evaluate, and make sure that you're not burning out the good help, because you don't want that turnover, and you especially don't want to turn over really good quality people that help your business, grow and go.
Right.
But also by providing some additional training opportunities, so they feel like they're growing, like they are getting something additional besides just a paycheck there, and listening to them and getting some ideas. What do you see? Help me grow the business. Give me some ideas, even if they're not great ideas, or even if they're not ideas you use, but still being able to have their buy-in. That has helped several of my friends keep people for 15, 16 years.
Yeah. The reality is the world has changed. I'm a believer that people want to work for great companies. Doesn't matter if you're a millennial or you're older or whatever. But the reality is people used to take jobs and they would stay at those jobs for 30 years knowing they were going to get a 2 or 3% raise every so often or whatever. It was just the way it was, right? Now, if somebody has a bad day, they go out and look for a new job. Yep. So you've got to really, as an owner, as a manager of a business, you have to work hard. It is very hard to create an amazing culture, to keep talented people, the people that decide to put the effort into it and figure out how they're going to pay well, and can you add some even voluntary benefits, like can you offer them insurance, and maybe it's not the best package. Do they know you care about them? Do you have their best interest at heart? Those things matter today, and it's not fluffy. It's not like some HR person saying this and this is how it should be. It's just the reality. People today do not stick around if they're not happy consistently, and so you've got to make the effort to do all of these things, and most people know they have to do it. It's just a matter of whether they decide to do it or not. Sorry.
I think I was going to say, I think it's interesting. We've talked about this pay threshold before with Adrian Gostick, but it's kind of, we didn't even mention it back in that podcast, but that threshold is constantly evolving, because once you meet one threshold, then you want to get to a different threshold. Maybe the first one probably is the pay, because once you get to that threshold, then you're looking at maybe company culture, or you want to go to a better company, or maybe it is the title, maybe you want to go up to be a manager. So you have to remember that threshold is constantly evolving.
Well, and not only the legal threshold is changing. So in January, if you're a manager making $30,000 a year, you're required to, as an owner, to now pay almost $36,000 a year. So what that does is now everybody's either getting paid hourly and they're getting paid overtime, or they're going up to this new threshold that's changing in January to 36, almost 35,000 something, almost 36,000. So everybody needs, so if you have managers, you're in a small retail shop that are making 32, you now have to bring them to 36. So what are the other employers doing?
Right.
They're raising that even more. And so the financial side of things, people are just having to pay more. We all know minimum wage is going up. It is a very hard thing for a lot of restaurateurs and a lot of retailers. It's hard to manage that. That's why I say who knows what will happen, but prices will likely increase in different things like that. But then it's just really, people aren't going to stay somewhere just because they make a couple $1,000s more if they're miserable in their jobs. And that's where, if you can really, as a retailer, as an owner, if you can really connect that people just want to come to work, they want to have some fun. Work doesn't always have to be you guys have a lot of fun here, right?
We do.
You work hard, and it's not always good days, and you have stress, and you want more sales, and all those things, but you make an effort. You're intentional about trying to have fun and creating an environment that people want to be in. That's what retailers need to do. Why would people come? There's thousands of restaurant and retail jobs all over the country that people can go with. Why would they come and work with you? What makes them want to? And you really have to answer that question. Here's where I am. Here's who I'm hiring. Here's what they care about. And that's what you have to give them. And you will find if you can keep these people, you might have to pay them a little bit more in their salaries, but you're not going to have the turnover, and you're not going to have to train people over, and that saves money for you.
We just had Texas Roadhouse open up here in town, and I was up there the other night, and all of their shirts say on the back, "I love my job." It's big heart. I heart my job, you know. And so I asked my waitress. I said, "So, is it just?"
That true?
I said, "Is it just a catchy little shirt, or do you really love your job?" And she just laughed. She said, "No." She goes, "This is actually a really fun job." And I said, "Tell me why it's a fun job." And she said, "Well," she said, "if you haven't noticed, you will in a minute." She said, "We get to do line dancing." I said, "You get to do it, or you're required?" She goes, "Well, we're required," but she goes, "I love to do it, so I get to do it."
Right.
So her attitude is completely wrapped around the things that bring her fun. She loves the line dance. She loves the music. She's a people person.
Yeah.
She's very extrovert. So, being in that setting is wonderful for her at this point in her life right now. And there was another person that was there that looked absolutely miserable. I'm like, oh, he's just being forced to wear the shirt. You can just see her music, and everybody started stomping. He just put his head down, and you can just see the words "oh crap" appear across his face. It was like, great, here we go. I was like, he's probably not going to be there next time I come in because he's not happy. It's not his thing, but it was a job right now. But it was that business that has a lot of employees in it, and I know it probably sucked a lot of the market up when it opened because we also had Big Whiskey's open up, which they took a lot of people.
Yeah.
And when you have all these restaurants competing for the same, not just the same market share from the consumers, but the hiring pool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, finding those advantages, like you mentioned, and understanding what I have to offer that is unique to me, that makes it fun for them to keep people engaged. And again, maybe these aren't, 10, 15, 20-year career professionals, but maybe they are 3 or 4 year people. And in 3 to 4 years is a good, if you have stable people, 3 to 4 years, you have time to find and develop additional talent to replace them when they move on, so that you're always feeling like, we talk about building the bench. Maybe you don't always have people waiting to come work for you, but if you're always recruiting and you're always handing people cards, say, hey, come see me sometime if you're ever interested. I've got a fun place to work. You come check it out. When you're out having your consumer end experience, that helps bring those people to you, because I guarantee you, folks do not do enough recruiting in that aspect of actually saying, hey, you've done a great job for me tonight. If you ever like to come, consider working for somewhere else, come have a conversation with me. And here's my card.
Yep.
I don't think people do that enough, because that is really impressive, because that person automatically will feel that you value them.
For sure. And it's very proactive. And a lot of times recruiting is very reactive. 2 people walked out. I need to find people. And then they feel desperate. Then they put out an ad, and then the 10 people come in and they hire the first. Exactly.
As long as they're breathing, that's their culture.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's really about thinking through things. I mean, we're growing in my little company, and I just constantly am talking to people and who's out there and then if I find somebody that we just can't live without, we just figure out how to bring them on board. You figure that out, and getting operators to really think proactively about having the right staff. The people's lives change so fast. You can have a great team, and it can change tomorrow. So just always look for people, always talk to those customers, always, get involved in these schools. It helps, by the way, business. You're branding yourself, you're marketing your product, like my husband is a Dunkin' Donuts, you're a Dunkin' Donuts general manager, and you're hanging out at the high school and teaching them about business, or doing a lecture, or, sharing your knowledge, and you've got to post up and they get to know you. It's just going to be easier when you actually do have a need, and then you can fill that.
Well, like with our Blue Taco, we're our corporate owned one we have here in town. We just sponsored the entrepreneurship class at the local high school, and it's the original local high school, not the new one, because they don't have one yet. But but we sponsored the entrepreneurship class just because of the fact that I mean our location is 100% employee owned. We want to foster that, relationship, and whether any of them ever come work for us, is irrelevant. But it's a matter of being engaged, being involved, and being at least someone. Hopefully, be a brand that is recognized as someone who understands that entrepreneurship and providing those opportunities to people are really important, even if they never go into business for themselves. But just to understand that those things are there, connecting in the community. at local level is so key. And I mean, the Walmart, the Targets, all those companies, they do that stuff already. Every time you swipe your card, they'll do a donation to the local school or whatever. But as a small, as a mom and pop, you've got to find ways to make sure you're constantly connecting and keeping those roots there. So they understand big box will come in and out, chains will move in and out. But for you to be sustainable, you got to give people in your community, from a worker standpoint to a consumer standpoint, a reason to say, yeah, but you got to go here.
Yeah.
You got to go to this place. I mean, you can go that anywhere, but when you're here, you got to go here, or you want to work here. And the restaurant that we were at last night, Rob does an amazing job running his restaurant. I think they've been around 35 years. For a restaurant to be around 35 years is staggering. But the fact that people that we've all, I think, known people who've worked there, they've all loved it. Even if they moved on and did their own thing afterwards, they've always had a great experience there. And then they come back, and now they may not be on the wait staff end or the cook end, but now they're sitting at the tables buying the food because they had a great experience when they worked there, so they feel comfortable coming back.
Exactly.
And so it becomes very circular in understanding that who your employee is today may be your customer tomorrow.
Yeah.
I love to always point out with that too that they never stop advertising. They've been in business for 35 years and they're always advertising.
Yeah,
too.
that's amazing. I mean, I think people, whether you're working for a little gas station owner or a small restaurant group, a very well-known restaurant, or Walmart, people want to work for good people that show that they care about them. And how can you? My sister works at Walmart. It's like she wants to work with people that make her feel like an individual, make her feel special. And I think that's really the thing. That's where it's really changed. Again, when our parents were working, maybe they didn't have to work as hard because people stayed at jobs for 30 years or whatever. And, I don't think that millennials or young people are entitled or they necessarily want to jump ship or whatever. I think they're just looking for a really great fit somewhere. I mean, I have a very young staff of people on my team, and they are literally the hardest working, most amazing people. But Megan and I work really, really hard to make sure that we can pay them well. I mean, we try to figure that out, and I can't always pay what I want to be able to pay, but I figure out what they need. We definitely, we do a lot of training. We talk a lot about growth. They really clearly understand the path that they can take with us. And if you're in a retail shop and maybe you don't have a lot of stores, so people can't grow into multi-unit, but could they do certified trainer? Can they be a customer ambassador person? Like, are there things they can do that will help them grow as a person? Is that enough? And then how are you paying them? So I think it's just, you've got to want to do it right. You've got to care about it. You've got to try different things. But ultimately, these little restaurants, and they have people that care about people. That's how they're getting these guys to work for them and come back and be customers, because they're good human beings. And it comes down to that, I think, a lot.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something. But and that's the thing is, I think there also has to be that authenticity behind the caring, though. It can't be like, well, here's a list, fill this out, and I'll see if I can help you or something. And
good, you're good to go.
Okay, and and making sure that everything was, genuine. How about when you care for people? I've had supervisors in the past that it just wasn't genuine, and regardless of the compliment that would roll off that individual's tongue, it had no bearing, no stickiness to it at all, because it was forced. It wasn't natural. The person just didn't mean it. You felt you were being manipulated. So I think it's also really key to make sure that, as an owner or as a leader, you've got to make sure that you take some time to step back and make sure that you're really, you really want to make sure that you're the person that is really caring. And if you're not, if you really don't care what they like, you probably need to hire somebody who does, to be that buffer. Mm-hmm. Because if you're just, I just need the output, plain and simple. I need the bottom line, and that's okay that you're that person. But then make sure you find someone who does care about the people side, so that you don't have constant turnover. Right. It'd be like, if I owned a business, Beth would have to be my manager, because I'm the jerk and she's the person with all the empathy,
Right. But I think, Anthony, that it's not about, you're a different personality than Beth.
That's so kind.
But you're a different personality, but you do care about people. You just have a different way of going about, communicating. And I think that people like to work. I have worked with and worked for as an employee and as I grew in my career, very introverted or very aggressive leaders that weren't as focused on soft. They didn't pat me on my back all the time, but I knew they cared about my success, and they pushed me in a way that was different than maybe I love, but I knew they cared about me, and I was very loyal to them. And so if you've got somebody that absolutely is like, I can't stand people, and I am not going to, which I've come across those people, and they really want to focus on, being in the kitchen, or they want to develop their business and grow real estate, then focus on that and hire a great leader that's going to come in and get results from the team. But I think what you're saying is so true. You've got to be authentic. You've got to be genuine. My husband and I, as I've told you before, we're very different personalities, but his people are very inspired by him because he understands what they want and he figures out how to get them that. And he does not pat on the back all day. He is a true operator. He is somebody that is, he just doesn't have that personality, but he genuinely cares about his people. If they're not well, if somebody gets sick in his company, he really, you can see how much he cares about that. And people understand that, and they learn that, and they feel that, and it doesn't have to feel the same. It doesn't have to be, be somebody you're not. Be really extroverted, or be charismatic, or be a pat on. It doesn't have to be that, in my opinion. Some of the best leaders I have worked with are the opposite of my personality. They're not very extroverted. They're not running around telling everybody how amazing they are and stuff, and it works. So.
Well, and that's what I think is because there are so many different personalities that you manage. Yeah. In any given set of group of people, even with the QSR Nation crew, even just the four of us here, all four different personalities. Right. But it's finding how to get the most out of everybody and not just keep it one way street though. Make sure that that Beth's getting the most out of me. I get the most out of Josh, etc. But at the same time, make sure that she's happy with the contribution side as well, right. And balancing that out because I see in other people in the staff that when they're able to contribute something, they light up. Yeah, because you see that innate value that they're feeling. Hey, I'm contributing and I'm bringing value to whether it's the conversation, to the project, to helping this retailer be successful. And you can see that person light up and just get excited about that. Then okay, this is something that makes this person truly happy. Yeah. And even if you're not a run around, it's a charismatic pat on the back person, you can still take the time to acknowledge that, hey, you did a good job with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or find the right people that will help you do that. Or find someone on your staff. It's just getting that genuine feel of appreciation from anyone within your company and finding that within your culture just sparks this whole new motivation among every single person. Right.
Yeah, as we found with Strength Finders too, here at PFS Brands, everyone can see everyone's strengths. We have them posted up on our mailboxes. But basically everyone has a different strength just about that they can bring to the team. And it's good to have that mix of people that all bring those different strengths. That's what really builds a strong company.
I mean, absolutely. When I think about, you guys are probably, some of you guys like sports more than others. And I watch even my kids as they get recruited onto or they join these teams, and you look at the coach, right? And we're coaches as business owners, as managers, as retailers, as, I want to build an amazing team. And I think so often a lot of people go out and they need to find a body that can come in and fill a shift. And that's their mentality. But if you really think of yourself, I'm the coach of my company. I'm the owner. I'm the manager, whatever. I need to build an amazing winning team. How am I going to do that? I've got to go out and find out who's out there. I've got to recruit the right players onto my team. I've got to make sure they're in the right place. Then I need to train them to do their job, train them on how to play the game. And then I need to coach them as they go. And it's very similar. And sometimes the players go away. They're not as good. We thought they were going to be a great goalie, but they're not. Or I thought they were going to be a great cashier, but they're not. They don't like to dance and do the line dancing, so they're not going to be a fit here. And we've done everything that we can to see if they can be a fit on our team, and they can't, so they need to leave the team. And I think, like I said, I think so many times it's like, I need to place a now hiring ad. I need to bring somebody on that can fill this shift. And they're forgetting that, this is really about building a winning team, a team that's going to help you care for customers, be successful, make it profitable. If somebody joins my team, I work really, 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 really hard to make sure they stay on the team. And by the way, people have lives, and people lose parents, and they get pregnant, and they get married, and things happen, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give up on them when they have a bad day or a bad week or a bad couple weeks or a bad month. I'm going to try to work with them. I want them on the team. I've spent all this time and energy to build this team. And then obviously as we grow, we need new players. We need new fresh eyes. We need, and so it's really kind of changing that mentality of hiring a body, hiring a person that can help me get through a shift, and really being focused on building a team, whether it's a 5-person team or a 70-person team. It's really focusing on that.
Well, and I go ahead.
I was just going to ask, it's all great. What are some tools out there that can help people do that? Is there any tools out there that they can effectively use?
To recruit and hire great
just
team?
Everything. People that really are brand new to HR hiring and training and everything. Yeah. What are some tools that they can use today to help improve that?
Yeah, I think that you, first and foremost, you need to understand where you can find people, and then, really care about it. That's the first thing. It's like, I can tell somebody to go out and do that, but then it's like it's sort of contrived, it's not real. Do you really truly care about building a great team? Then when you want to make that happen, when you talk about recruiting for people, a lot of people say, oh, it's a video world now, and that's how you find people and whatever. You've got to create a frenzy of activity around your company. So how do you do that? You place ads on Indeed. You follow it up with maybe a quick video that says, here's what's going on. You constantly are out there in the world showing people what an amazing culture you have. And that could be through video or posts or social media or just being in the community or talking about it at your church or whatever it is. People know you're a cool place to work. So doing that all of the time, I think is absolutely key. Having some internal ambassadors, those key players on your team that help you with ensuring people are onboarded properly. They're going through a really great orientation. Does it take work and energy? Yes, but it helps you build a winning team. Be organized, have your paperwork ready, have your uniform ready, show them that you care about them coming onto your team day one. And a lot of people miss those little things that are really, really big. Are you really prepared to train them well? Or are you just going to throw them in the trenches because you're short staffed? Yeah. And when you miss that opportunity to train them well, it's like not teaching your player how to play the game of basketball and then you expect them to shoot a basket and make it. You're not going to if you never train them how to play the game. Now they know how to play the game. They're internal. They're playing the game. They understand the rules, and now you coach them. Yeah. And how do you do that? You tell stories. You connect with them. You find out about their personal life. You write them a nice little handwritten note saying, I appreciated your effort today. Those are the kinds of things. It's not one thing. Mm-hmm. It's got to be genuine. It's got to feel real. Some people, like my husband's like, I'm not writing a handwritten note. Okay, that's just not what I'm doing. I'll send him an email. Whatever. Okay.
Send him an email.
That's okay.
I got a text going right here.
That's fine. But you've got to just figure out. But people need to know that you care, and they need to know that. So how do you do that? You've got to be organized. Yeah. You've got to have these systems in place. You've got to make that little effort. You've got to shut your computer off and turn your phone off once in a while and look at people in their eyes and say, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. Yep. And really wait for them to answer and care about the answer. Yeah. It's really about having those people skills, and talking to people and not just flying by the seat of your pants and just trying to make sales.
Well, I really like that when you said create a frenzy around your business. It really reminds me of like a digital conversion funnel. You have to direct the awareness, then walk them through the consideration and decision to actually apply to your company or whatever. Yeah. So it's about really selling your whole brand in general too.
Exactly. Why is it pretty easy for us to hire great people? You guys see I'm very active on social media, but we're not just great recruiting isn't always a direct now hiring method. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's about who we are and what we become. And so when I say, all right, I'm looking for a video editor, people are like, oh, this seems like a really cool company. I've seen her for 3 years talking about building this company, and she's a small. So it's like, then it just becomes easier. It's never easy to find top talent. I think no matter who you are, no matter how much you pay, we're all kind of out there fighting for the best talent. But I'm just constantly figuring out how to get the buzz about my company out there in the world, whether it's I'm starting a show, I'm doing restaurant HR group's got a new client, or we're hiring somebody, and I just never stop doing that. And then it just becomes easier. I give a lot of my time to schools. I do podcasts. Those kind of things really do help. And by the way, you can be a very small retail owner. People want to learn from you. Yeah. So if you're out there and you take a little time, and again, it's not just about hiring. You're branding yourself. People are learning about your company. They are going to say, oh, I heard that guy, go talk at a school. I'm going to go check out his little taco joint or whatever it is. And it just helps.
A friend of mine, probably a friend of everybody's in Jefferson City, Carlton Flowers. And Carlton, he has, constantly, he's always got a business going, and he does so much stuff. I asked his wife one time, I said, when does he sleep? She goes, about every other weekend, but he does it. He worked for the state for years, just retired, but he also owns an auto body shop because that's his passion. He loves to paint cars and do stuff. So he has that. He has a consulting business and firm. He has a health and nutrition company, and he does all these different things, but he still makes time to go to the schools and speak in their classes and share his experiences, and and he does conferences and stuff as well. But it's like this guy does everything, and I'm like, how do you have the energy to do that? Some days I'm like, I feel dead as I get out of bed. I'm just so worn out because he has still 4 kids and stuff as well. And I was like, how do you do this? But he's just so engaged with what he's doing, and he has such a drive and a passion and desire to not just consume through his businesses, but to give back as well, and to make sure that all the fun things and all the mistakes and all the learning curves that he's getting to experience, to turn around and share that back with the community. So, as a small business owner, you may think, I have zero amount of time. I'm putting in 80, 90, 100 hours a week. I have no time for my family, let alone for a school. That's probably a time to maybe step yourself back if you're having that aha moment and say, I probably need to reevaluate a couple of things. I probably need someone else in there, whether I think I can afford them or not. Yeah. There's a different trade-off, but so you can you spend time with your families, you can give back to your community, but also so that way you can also hopefully have some folks that become like mentors to your other team members, so that if you are tied up, that Beth can step in and mentor Josh, or Grant can step in and mentor Alex. Yeah. But to have those relationship opportunities there that don't necessarily involve you directly.
Right. Josh got extremely terrified right there. Whenever you heard Beth mentor him.
I've learned a lot from you, Beth.
Thank you. I think I've taught everyone empathy here.
Yes.
Not Anthony.
Not Anthony. So worried about that. Well, one thing you did mention is a new show that's coming up in 2020, and I just want to say move over, Oprah, because Carrie Luxem is coming into the picture. So can you tell us a little bit about your show coming up?
Yeah, I actually just announced last week that it's coming. It was sort of like a little little teaser, like, hey, Carrie, look, people are like, you have TV, a podcast, what's going on? I'm like, you'll see. So I'm really talking about it for the very first time here.
Yes.
Yes.
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news.
Not fake news. Breaking news.
What we're doing as a team. So I have my restaurant HR group company. We do the outsourcing for restaurants, and that's where we handle. That's where the majority of my business focus has been. I started Carrie Luxem LLC. I have written a book. I'm writing a second book that's going to be on soft skills, really how to have soft skills to have success. And we have this membership platform, and those things are fun, and they're adding some value. But I do a lot of social media stuff. I do little short videos just with like information to help operators, right? I love this industry. I love restaurants. I love small business owners. And so how can I help them with recruiting, hiring, culture, performance, termination? I talk about these things a lot. So I've been doing this for a few years, built up my following. People listen to what I have to say, but I think it's time for me to go out into the world now and talk with restaurant owners, CEOs, chefs, crew members that have a lot of success and learn from them. So we've invested in our $400 camera, just a little camera. We've got a fun little microphone. I can't wait to hold one of these bad boys. It makes me feel really cool. I don't know how to do it yet, but so and I'm going to actually, so I'm not going to do a podcast or anything. I'm going to go out to these people that we think can add value in some area to help restaurateurs. I'm on a mission to help create more restaurant and leadership success stories. That's my whole mission. And so I'm going to find people that have passion around a topic, whether they're a great franchise developer, or they know how to create an amazing kitchen, or they're great culture builders. And I'm going to do very short segments on a topic. And then we're going to, so I don't know, these might be 10 to 20 minutes long. I'm not even sure how we're going to do it, how we're going to edit it yet. We're going to have to call you guys to get some techie help there. But I'm really excited to sort of take this to, I'm not going to make it about selling things. It's really about adding value to people's lives. We're going to post this. We're going to probably house this on my YouTube channel, and we'll run it. We're going to pick a day, and we're going to probably just post it the same exact time, just like it's a little show,
Right.
Tuesday at 5:00. I don't know if that's going to be the time for sure, but and then just try to do these every week, and then we'll see if that's too much or enough, or and then just go from there. So we're really just hoping that people can just get a whole nother level of value. It's like doing kind of this sort of thing with a person or people that are in the industry.
That's going to be awesome.
I'm excited.
We've all
excited.
seen how popular podcasts are now, but the one thing that's definitely above that still is video. Video is important. So I'm excited to watch your show.
Thank you. No, I'm excited. I mean, literally, we are sort of clueless on how to do this and what to do, and we're just figuring out how to turn on the video camera. We've been working on that for the last 2 weeks, but we got it. Megan's got it.
As we have found, you can really fool people.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Literally
exactly.
Google everything.
And so we're in the middle of a search for a video editor. We're going to bring somebody internal. I've been using an outside editor. We do a little bit of editing on the videos that I do now, nothing crazy. But this person's going to help us pull these together, make sure it's a really powerful message, understand what the title is, understand what the message is, close it up really tightly, and hopefully it's going to be really, really awesome. So
I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Thank you.
I mean, new book, new show.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oprah's
in trouble. Oprah's in trouble. There's a new girl in Chi-Town.
I mean, just in case my listeners are a video editor, or me specifically. No.
What? Oh, no.
What is
I am creating a frenzy.
Where can they find you at for more information on any of this information?
CarrieLuxem.com is probably the easiest place. I'm on LinkedIn as well, pretty aggressively, but CarrieLuxem.com is a real safe place to find all of my information.
That's
Perfect.
awesome.
Checking your internet history.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Hey, we'll talk later. Okay?
I hear that Carrie's culture is not that great.
QSR Nation has the now hiring sign up.
Yeah. We had over 100 resumes, but I'm ready to talk to you. Super.
Well, we really appreciate you coming back for what would this
Thank
be,
you.
episode 140 or 141?
141?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
The last one of the year, so that's really exciting. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you very much for stopping in today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And then, as always, you're always welcome back anytime, especially if Josh goes to work for you and we have to bring him back to be our producer, too. So
I wonder
I'm
if
excited
our
to
CEO
shut
is
this
listening.
down and go talk. Let's do this.
And thanks for our listeners for tuning in today. You can reach out to us for any more questions at qsrnation@pfsbrands.com. Subscribe to the podcast at pfsbrands.com/podcast. The new website should be up next week or the week after. 2020, it'll be up. QSRNationPodcast.com. This is Beth's shout out for socials.
You can also find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook at QSR Nation. So be sure to follow us so you can see what all is happening all around town.
Has anybody got any final 2019 shout outs?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. There we go.
yeah, I'll say Merry Christmas.
There we go.
Well, I meant Happy New Year.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
All
Happy
of
New
them.
Year.
Come
All
see
of them.
Yeah.
Or as our ornament
inclusive.
on the Erasmus tree says, holiday. I don't care if it's happy.
Ron Swanson quotes, they're the best.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm sure you guys are going to be sad this is the last time you get to hear from Tony in 2019, but we'll be back next year. For all of us here at QSR Nation and Carrie, we'll talk to y'all next year, would be, I guess.
Today's episode is brought to you by Champs Chicken. For deals, discounts, and updates, check out champschicken.com/connect. Be sure to stop by next week for another episode of QSR Nation. And be sure to check us out online at pfsbrands.com/podcast.